What's up, y'all? What is up, man? This is the weirdest week. So, the Browns, man, I don't know what to do with that, right? Up until, when the Browns got that 13-point lead, I was thinking they played bad on defense, but you know what, man? It's just a bad game. We'll see how they come back Thursday. After that, though, there's no more you know what I mean? There's no more, well, maybe this can get fixed or nah, man, that was bad. There's no excuse for that. There's just nothing I can say that makes that justifiable, what they did there. An absolute embarrassment of colossal proportions. Right now, I don't want to be too. Ray Rag says if you look at Trotter's Twitter, it looked like Ward and Delpit they weren't running it. This doesn't take Jake Trotter's Twitter to understand. I appreciate the $20, Ray Rags, but the whole team is not running the same defensive coverages. Some people are running it. When the Browns run cover 3, they really run in cover 6, and it's not because they're calling it, right? Like, it just doesn't. Nothing makes sense. Nothing makes sense. They're not good right now, the defense. And I was willing to let this thing play out, but, man, I don't know. I don't know about this. This is one of the ones where, this is why people want Joe Woods fired, because this stuff comes up all the time, right? Whenever the Browns, and it's amazing, bro, whenever the Browns get a 14-point lead, all hell breaks loose, right? All hell breaks loose when the Browns get a 14-point lead in the Joe Woods era. This is something that's happened for 3 years in a row. 3 years. It has to change. It has to change. If it's Joe Woods that has to change, I don't know if that's something that they'll do during the season. That just doesn't seem like how the Browns roll. But something has to change. This has to get mitigated. You cannot have an entire defense so off, so they're not on the same page to the point that you can't keep it together for 2 goddamn minutes. 2 minutes. 2 minutes. 2 minutes, dog. You couldn't keep it together for 2 minutes. For those of you asking about why the Browns couldn't get pressure, please miss me with that. Here's why I'm saying that. Let me explain before I explain it. Well, let me explain it. The Browns blitzing would just exacerbate the problem. They can't blitz right now because they can't do coverage, right? They're not going to be good at covering more space with less people when they blitz. If they can't even do normal coverages, they can't blitz. They're not competent enough to blitz right now. That's the problem. We want to talk about why they didn't get pressure. They can't run cover 2. Of course they're not going to blitz. That's the problem with this team. There is this communication, they had bad communication in 2020. They had bad communication in 2021 at the first half of the year. But what this communication is right now, it's not just bad. It's dysfunctional. It needs to change. It's been bad every year. Something is going on that does not need to go on anymore. Common Uncommon says this is literally the exact same coverage breakdown that happened last week. This is worth firing Woods over. Again, I understand emotionally why people want Joe Woods fired. I'm just looking at this like, what is that? Is that going to fix the problem? We're going to have even, because now if you fire Joe Woods, is like, who's going to be in charge of the defensive communication? Joe Woods' understudy? Dog, I'm not trying to see what that looks like. I've seen what the regular Joe Woods does. You trying to see what his backup's looking like? They don't have anybody in here that can step up and be a defensive coordinator right now. That's the problem, right? There's nobody that can be an obvious choice to step up in that role where it wouldn't be a massive adjustment. And if it's going to be an adjustment, we're going to get the same shit anyways, right? Like, we're just wasting more time. Whatever is going on with the communication needs to be fixed. And this looks like, here's what I'll say. One, Joe Woods is clearly a part of this problem. I don't think it's on the DB coach. I just don't. I think this is on the players and Joe Woods. One, there's something about this communication that makes people want to free roam all the time. That's not good. Two, the players got to stop free roaming. You free roam in zone, that's a recipe to look stupid. But they do it all the time, and they continue to look stupid. Richard Baker with a $20 super chat says, bummed about the lost Q. My wife and I would like to see your cat if possible. Also, we love you. Appreciate that. Them cats will be on they'll be on the screen. They hovering around. I don't know. They might not want to be on because I'm not jubilant right now. That's what they did to themselves, man. That's what they did to them. They did this to themselves. And people out here, look, and this breeds, always when you lose like this, it breeds to the dumbest takes possible. And I'm hearing all the dumb shit takes. Appreciate the super chat from Jones, who says, bro, same page. The defense ain't reading the same book. Any QB is going to light you up when you give their weapons free release all game. It's not about the free release. It's really not about the zone. Everybody gets fixated on this zone. It's not about the zone. It's not about the free release. They have showed that they can play this zone and press up and do whatever they got to do on the short term. It's not the zone. It's the execution of the zone that's terrible. That's the problem. If we just go into it thinking, oh, the problem's zone. No, it's not the zone. It's the execution, which is a worse problem. Q, tell people to stop blaming Chubb is discussion. Oh, yeah. So, one, we're getting galaxy brain takes. Oh, Nick Chubb should have kneeled that ball down instead of scoring the touchdown. And look, theoretically, you're right, but that's one of them takes that you can only be right about after you see some shit go down. Right? Nobody was actually thinking that. And anybody who's telling you they were actually thinking about, they're definitely the dude in your friend circle that you know is lying. You know what I mean? Like, and if you're somebody who's claiming that right now, you that homeboy. Stop lying to yourselves. Mighty says, this loss is bitter, but the Ravens fans' tears made it less hurtful. Let's go, Dallas. Look, man, it's just Twilight Zone time for the AFC North. We got the Bengals down big. Even though, look, now I look at this week done change how I look at leads, right? Baltimore gave up like a 28-point lead. Something crazy. Browns gave up 14 points in 2 minutes. Insane, bro. Just Cam says Warriors should have played. Man, that's not going to change anything. That's not the problem. It's really not the problem. Because you still got to communicate it, man. This is not Madden. You still have to communicate. The problem is the communication. It's awful. The problem is the cooperation. It's awful. It's not zone. It's this, the communication. We can play man. We can play zone. If we don't communicate and do the proper channels, we're going to suck on the defensive side of the ball. How they suck, that doesn't matter. Why they suck, that does matter. And why they suck on the defensive side of the ball right now is their communication is just ineffective. Ray Rag says this might be one of the best Jacoby Brissett performances we get all season because the DBs are freelancing. We lose the game. They need to stop that BS. Well, the question also is, we can say, hey, DB, stop freelancing. But they're not doing it for no reason, right? Like that's Captain Motion. Appreciate the super chat, y'all. Where did I get a T-shirt you're wearing, bro? Into the AM. But the problem, again, is you have to look at it like this, right? When we have to unpack the problem. We can't just point at one thing, go, that's the problem, change it, and expect shit to be fixed. That's not how anything ever works. The problem has to be unpacked. Okay, so why is the defense so undisciplined? Well, there are players that are freelancing. Now we have to ask the question, why are the players freelancing? What is it about how this defense is called, how this defense is coached, that leads to a disproportionate amount of players freelancing? Is it the coverage rules that they're given that leaves more interpretation to what they want to do? Or is this about the players not liking the game plan and deciding to do what they want. We have to figure out the Jamar Chase is dropping shit. All right. We have to figure out why they are freelancing, right? If you get to ask a question at a press conference, that's the question to ask. Why are they freelancing? Why do they feel the need to do it? We can't just say and point the problem at freelancing and saying, that's the problem. They're freelancing. Why are they freelancing? Because most defenses don't have this issue. But there is something about this defense that leads to people freely, because this is not the first time. 2020, freelancing was an issue. 2021, freelancing was an issue. This is an issue now. What is it about this defense? Oh, my goodness. That was a late hit. But what is it about this defense that gets people to do that? Why are they freelancing? What's going on there? Why is that happening? Break that down. Unpack it. They got 4 days to do it. Embarrassing loss. Anybody who tries to spin this as if it's not embarrassing, it's embarrassing. It is. Now, that doesn't mean we melt down and cry and act like the season's over after losing the game in week 2. But this is embarrassing. This is unfit of what the Browns want to become. This is not a performance indicative of a team that we feel like can play at the caliber that the Cleveland Browns can. Again, Matt AT says, can you talk about Delpit this week, especially after reviewing the tape? People at the game were not happy with him. Man, I don't know what's going on with him. I don't know what's going on with his secondary. I would not be surprised if DeAnthony Bell is in the game on Thursday. I would not be surprised if DeAnthony Bell becomes a starter sooner than later. I think some of these problems are because they keep rotating Anthony Walker off the field, their play caller. That doesn't make sense to me because they want to get Jacob Phillips time. I'm over it. I don't need to see Jacob Phillips play anymore. Anthony Walker's clearly better. Keep him on the field. Another part of this is Grant Delpit. I think he's a huge part of this. $4 super chat, $5 super chat from Dave May, who says hindsight play calling is horse crap. You can't say like Bull did, oh, we should have kneeled it after 2 minutes before the 2-minute warning before scoring. Yeah, that's just, come on now. Come on now. That's just hindsight 2020 bullshit. Like, that's just terrible. Like, come on now. You're just saying shit to say shit when people say that. If you're actually thinking this is Nick Chubb's fault after he had 3 touchdowns and the offense put up almost 30 points, that's stupid. That's stupid. Commonly Uncommon says, you're right, that's an overreaction. At least now I see why people have been on Woods' necks the past 2 years. IDK, if this can get fixed mid-season. I think it can get fixed. Or at least band-aided up to where it's not going to be as big of a problem. But it's going to take some big changes, right? This isn't going to be we just got to let the unit gel. We've had time for this unit to gel. Something's wrong. You know, is it Ronnie Harrison? Is he just out there doing whatever? Like, something's wrong. So you got to take some players out. You got to replace them with some new players. Like, I expect week 4 versus Atlanta, the defense is going to have a bit of a different alignment. Face Disabler says, how is this still a problem after 3 years in this defense when this stuff happens last year, Cardinals game? It's unacceptable. This is the same problem over 3 years is incredible, right? Is incredible. And I was leaning in on Joe Woods after that first year because it was like, hey, the defense was not good. Richie Doe, Joe Woods loves zone when we love. Again, a lot of people fixating on this zone versus man. That's not the problem. I promise you. They would suck just as much in man coverage as they do in zone. Honestly, when I look at the tape, they suck in man coverage just as much as zone coverage because the problem is not their ability athletically to cover it. The problem is they can't communicate worth anything. In man, you still have to communicate. That's not the problem. Ray Rag says it looked like Hill Tony will be there third. I don't know why Tony's so happy. They lost to McCorkle Jones. Like, it just seems like, oh, yeah, I know they suck, whatever. But who cares? There's nothing to be proud of for any team this week. Nobody should be happy that their team did what they did this week in the AFC North. Maybe the Bengals will come back and win this game, but nobody should be happy. But yeah, this is just, oh my goodness. We have the highest paid cornerback playing soft coverage. This is just, again, a lot of focusing on the zone. I feel like we're missing the point when we do this. It's not the zone. You're going to play zone. NFL teams play zone. That's not the problem, y'all. The problem isn't the zone. The problem is when Denzel Ward's in soft coverage, somebody's supposed to be underneath him. Nobody shows up. The problem is they're not running the same. Imagine trying to run an offense when half the players are running outside zone and the other half think you're running inside zone. Like, that's what we're dealing with on the defense right now. Ibra A says with the $2 super chat, defense made Joe Flacco look like an MVP. They didn't make Joe Flacco look any better than Joe Flacco is. They gave a bad quarterback easy throws. That's really what they did. Especially in the second half of this game. They gave a bad quarterback easy passes in the game. And honestly, they should have got no more than 17 points. But somehow they ended up with 31 in 2 minutes. Again, this is a disqualifying performance for somebody. I don't know who yet. All I can say is there's been bad play by the safeties, but that's been consistent no matter who's been playing safety. Jonathan Stanton says York hits game winner last week and missed the game saver this week. Wouldn't have even been the game saver. They would have had to go overtime. And the way that defense was playing, you really think they was going to keep Joe Flacco out the end zone when they couldn't do it for 50 seconds? And no timeouts? Kate York missing that field goal did nothing for this game's win probability. They were going to lose that game, but Kate York made it. They tied it because the defense couldn't stop shit. And that's a shame that we're saying this about the damn Jets. It's a shame. Yeah. K. York could have made that field goal. Wouldn't have meant nothing. Freelance. How is Joe letting people freelance? I'm not the expert, but isn't a defense supposed to do what the coach says? I mean, it's the NFL, bro. It's the NFL, Nelson. I appreciate the super chat, but it's the NFL, man. Players are going to have more responsibility. And sometimes when you have more responsibility, that leads people to be able to do different things. But all those choices that they're allowed to do should work within the system. And again, freelancing happens. This is the NFL. Like, the players are more paid than the coaches. Sometimes they're going to make executive decisions. That's not the rare thing. Always Ballin says, love how we call it 2 timeouts in the game to set this up. Set up stuff, first half on defense, first half onside kick, and they both failed, especially. Yeah, I don't even know what happened on that onside kick. It didn't look like it just looked like a good onside kick. Like a 1 in a million kick that they got there. Hey, man. Should have won. But the defense did what we said the offense was doing to the defense last year. Should have won. But hey, you blew it. Should be embarrassed. Uncommonly says, I'm terrified of the Chargers and Bills. See, I'm not. Here's what I'm thinking. They're going to look equally bad against the Chargers and the Bills because, again, they're not forcing quarterbacks to make tight window throws to beat them. And it's not like Josh Allen, he's going to make the same easy throws that Joe Flacco's making. It's not going to be any more difficult or any more worse. It's just, it's going to be a problem still. D Flat says, hey, QC, we are focusing completely on the defense, and rightly so. But can you talk about special teams and their failure this week? What did the special teams fail at this week? Like, they weren't super great on coverage returns, but they didn't give up a touchdown. K. York only missed the 1 extra point. And Bojo was punting really well today. Great catch. And Bojo was punting really well today. Again, I see nothing to blame on special teams. Q, with 2 minutes left, you want your best players to make plays, point blank, period. They get paid to make game-changing plays. Sorry, but Joe Woods got to go. I mean, how can we even put somebody in a position to make a game-changing play when nobody knows where to be at in position, right? Like that's the thing. That's the thing. Nobody's even listening to coaching right now. So if the coach gets fired, and what's that going to change? Do they have somebody in that locker room? This is what I want to ask. And this is something I got to ask off the record. JJ3 says communicating and sending and receiving. Some guys are receiving. Yeah, I saw that quote. Yeah. Here's the thing. Here's how I would try to handle this if I'm Kevin Stefanski. All right, let me put my practical hat on. Let me put my hat of practicality on. You know, I'm going to take the angry we lost because of some bullshit hat off, and we're going to put the practicality hat on. That's what we're going to do right now, all right? If I'm Kevin Stefanski, y'all be killing me. Face Disabler says, I haven't heard Jim Donovan sound like that since Hugh Jackson era. Heard that last 4 minutes in the car thinking it was going to be a wrap. Yeah, it's crazy. All right, so if I'm Kevin Stefanski, here's what I do. I go to the locker room leaders. I talk to the players individually, and I ask them a few questions about, one, why are people so compelled to freelance in a system that's not designed for a ton of freelancing? Well, what's going on here? What's going on here? What is the communication thing? And then I would ask, is this something to do with Joe Woods, right? And what I mean by that is this something to do with the message that Joe Woods is putting out there, just not getting to the defensive players and not rubbing them the right way? And is there a coach in that defensive staff that they feel like should be in charge that's not Joe Woods? If you get a yes to any of those answers, Joe Woods has to go. Point blank, period. If this miscommunication is because they feel like Joe Woods is incompetent at his job and is making the defense's life more difficult by simply being the coach of the defense, he's got to go. He's got to go. Right? But the question is, hey, is there anybody in there you think can be better at this? No, it's not a fumble. That's got to be the question you ask. But that's where they're at. That's where they're at. By the way, 1,000 people in here to watch me be miserable. Y'all hilarious. Y'all hilarious. Y'all came to I think y'all mad with me, or some of y'all is excited. But ain't nobody in the AFC North won, so I'm not seeing anybody in the chat. The fake punt? We mad about a fake punt, a missed extra point? This is what blows my mind. You want me to be just as mad about a fake punt, a mixed extra point, and an onside kick recovery when the defense gave up 13 points in 2 minutes to Joe Flacco? What are we talking about here? What are we talking about here, dog? What are we talking about? What are we talking about? Nick Chubb kneeling on, not kneeling before he scored. What are we talking about? The defense gave up 13 points in 2 minutes. That's the fucking problem. There's no other problem. That's the problem. 13 points in 2 minutes. That hasn't been done since 2001 when the Browns did it to the Bears. That's the problem. I hate to break it to you. The offense wasn't the problem today. Good enough to win. The special teams wasn't the problem today. Good enough to win. You know what was the problem today? The defense. DB Dog 21 says, $2 super chat. Why wouldn't you play three safeties across at that point? I have no idea why they weren't in quarters. I have no idea why they weren't in quarters. Why were they in cover two at that point? I have no idea why they went out on that drive and were in anything but quarters. I understand you don't want to go to prevent. That's stupid. But why are you not in quarters? What are we doing? The one time Joe Woods decides to be aggressive, that's when he does it. And again, was it Joe Woods or was it the players saying, let's be aggressive and we're just going to blitz and not tell nobody? Just embarrassing. It's embarrassing, man. Everybody on that defensive side of the ball should be ashamed of themselves. Everybody on that defensive side of the ball should be forced to watch that tape 3 times in a row and force a look at the embarrassment that they put on tape, that they put to their name. JOK put embarrassing stuff out. Well, JOK was really good today. I don't want to say him, but that's an embarrassment. Myles Garrett should take this personally. He's the leader of this unit, the face of this unit, and they embarrassed themselves. Couch says, I hate kickers again. Look, man, I ain't even going to blame that on Cade York. Like, he missed that extra point. I wasn't sweating it when he did it. I could not care less when Cade York missed that extra point. I'm be honest with you. Wasn't even thinking about it. Because you know what I was thinking? We up by 13. It's 2 minutes left. This is a wrap. I was about to start to make the thumbnail talk about Jacoby Brissett's big day. So much for that. So much for that. Right? This is not about any other thing other than the defense. Stop trying to blame this shit on other stuff other than the defense. Stop trying to talk about special teams. Stop trying to what about with the offense. Oh, Jacoby Brissett threw a pick. He should have never had to bring the team back when he got him up 13 points with 2 minutes left in the game. None of this is on the offense. The fact that they came that close to swinging you out of this is a miracle. A miracle. Embarrassing. Embarrassing on the defensive side of the ball. That's all that gets to be talked about from here to Thursday. I feel bad for Jacoby Brissett because he played a really good game. Nobody's ever going to talk about that because this is what's going to be focused on. This embarrassing defensive unit that is playing lethargic, embarrassing football. They are one of the most talented groups in the NFL, and they are playing embarrassing football. They're not playing professional football. This is embarrassing, what they're putting out there. And it would be one thing if this were like the 2017 Browns where they just didn't have talent. But the 2017 Browns weren't busting coverages like this. The 2016 Browns weren't busting coverages like this. You see how insane that is? Those teams that were full of people who never played in the NFL after they played for the Browns that year. Those teams. Those are the, by the way, we got to get the Brownie off the field now. After you do some shit like that, Brownie got to go. The Brownies got to go. That shit is bad luck. Get that shit off the field. I'm sorry. I know some of y'all like the Brownie. I voted for the Brownie. Brownie got to go. Brownie Elf got to fucking go. After that, no more. Got to go. Bye-bye. That's embarrassing. Nah, man. We taking that shit off the middle of the field after that. Max Neal Kenker with the super classic. Okay. Appreciate the super chat. Appreciate the super chat. Oh, Joe Burrow just fumbled? It's within 2 minutes, so it can't be advanced. But yeah, man, embarrassing, dog. Embarrassing. Is it embarrassing, though? Obviously, it's freaking embarrassing. This team's much better than that. Much better than that. It just is what it is, man. It just is what it is. Hey, here's the good news, though. As embarrassing as that was, as there are no excuses, by the way, to explain away that loss. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear any of these excuses. I don't want to hear, nah. There's no excuses. There's no excuses. We didn't get screwed we only screwed ourselves, all right? But as inexcusable as this loss is, it didn't really set us back because I think every other AFC North team lost, except for the Bengals who are playing in the game right now. So maybe this just doesn't matter at the end of the day. Everybody's going to be 1-1 at least. Sly says the problem is they think they win before the game done. Well, I mean, hey, look, if this doesn't humble you, right? Like, if this doesn't show them that they can lose a game because they're up 14, I don't know what's going to prove it to them. Mighty says, couldn't we have bum rushed the middle of the force? Joe Flacco out the pocket. Here's the problem with blitzing. And again, I think I explained this at the beginning of the stream, but again, I want to explain this. Here's the problem with blitzing. So let's say the Browns send 7 players or 6 players, right, to bum rush the pocket. That leaves 5 players in coverage. The Browns can't run cover 2 right now without there being a coverage bust. They're definitely not going to be able to cover any blades of grass with 5 because they can't communicate effectively. You get to blitz a lot when you can communicate well because blitzing is reliant on your ability to communicate. If you can't communicate, you can't blitz. So, no, they shouldn't have blitzed because they're not good enough at communication to blitz. Ray Rag says it's not just the 13 points in 2 minutes, it's that they let the Jets do it with no timeouts. No timeouts. No timeouts, and then you had 22 seconds with the ball in your hand. Commonly Uncommon says the DT room and edge room outside of Miles looked rough when Clowney got hurt. When your coverage is that bad, of course your edge rush is going to look bad. Straight up. Straight up. When your coverages are this bad, it's going to trickle down. It's going to trickle down. It's going to trickle down. Again, the coverage was terrible. I don't know what else could have been done. If they can't run cover 2, if they can't run cover 6, if they can't run cover 4, they're not an NFL defense. So whatever is causing that just got to change. DB Dog says, and Miles tried to low-key call out fans for booing it. Man, what the fuck Miles supposed to say at that point? Hey, Miles, they booed you. Oh, we deserve it. Like, I don't care what his quote is about that. I think people make too much out of this shit. I really do. I don't care about that. You know what? I care about 13 points in less than 2 minutes with no timeouts. That's what I care about. Ask Miles about that. I don't care what Miles thinks about the fans booing him. That's not going to charge me up. Ask him, why the hell did y'all give up 13 points? Like, what happened? Tell me the answers to those questions. Stop telling me about Myles Garrett being mad at the fans. Who gives a single damn? We wouldn't care if they would have maintained that 13-point lead, what he felt about fans booing. Who cares? Who gives a single care about any of that? Any of that. That's so dumb and petty to be mad about when the defense gave up 13 points with no timeouts in less than 2 minutes. That's the only thing to be mad about. Because that's how egregious that is. Just embarrassing. We'll see what comes of it. It's a short week, so people are going to be protected. But after they play Pittsburgh, and boy, they better beat Pittsburgh. If I'm Joe Woods, if I'm their defense, if I'm anybody that wants to protect my spot in the Cleveland Browns organization, you better beat the shit out of Pittsburgh this Thursday, right? That'll fix it. Jimmy ain't going to be in a firing mood if you beat Pittsburgh, straight up. But if you lose to Pittsburgh and it's some embarrassing shit like this again, people are going to be gone. Joe Woods is not going to be there on Friday, right, if this happens on Thursday. So that's the saving grace for him, man. You beat Pittsburgh, you probably get to live another day. You fix this shit before Thursday, you're going to be all right. Because, boy, if this was a regular week, there would be some jobs in question. You're lucky this is a short week. Liam Harris says we failed to apply pressure all game long, gave time for spotlight to show blemishes. I disagree, Liam. That's not what happened. That's not what happened, Liam. What happened was it didn't matter if we got pressure because we couldn't cover anything. Joe Flacco had dudes open in windows that were ridiculous. And they were open immediately. We can't cover. That's the problem. That's the problem. All right. Stop asking me about Myles Garrett and whatever. Like, stop asking me this dumb shit. Stop. Just stop. Just stop. Why are we focusing on that? The defense gave up 30. We need to talk about that problem. We need to talk about that problem. All right. Focusing in on what this guy said. I don't care. The tape. That's what I care about. I don't care how Myles Garrett feels about giving up 13 points. I don't care about that. I really don't care how he feels about it. Okay? I could care less how he feels about the fans booing him. That's not my priority. I don't care. And I don't care how everybody else feels about how he feels about that, because how anybody feels about giving up 13 points in less than 2 minutes with no timeouts does not stop the 13 points from getting scored. The feeling does not matter here. 14 points. My apology, y'all. 14 points. How people feel about that is irrelevant. How it happened, utmost relevancy. Big Kev doing a victory lap on Joe Woods. Why does he insist on running soft zone? It's not the fucking zone, y'all. Teams run zone all the time. Why do we? I swear, I need to. It's my fault. You know, maybe I don't do a good enough job explaining defensive coverages and how defenses work in the NFL, because I swear we fall on the same analysis every time. It's the zone. It's not the zone. Saying it's the zone is a gross oversimplification of the problem. It's Joe Woods' fault. Absolutely. Like, let me make that clear. I'm not saying, hey, it's not the zone. It's not Joe. No. It's Joe Woods' fault. But why it's Joe Woods' fault is one of those things that's very important to come to a right answer about. And saying it's zone is not the answer, because they've played man in this game in busted coverages. They played zone in busted coverages in this game. It's not the concept that's causing the problem, y'all. It's the execution of it, which is based in the communication. They're busting coverages no matter what they're playing, man or zone. That's what I'm talking about. That play they gave up was cover 2, man. Like, they gave up that play in cover 2, man, to give up that touchdown. So, no, it's not about man or zone. Ray Rag says with the $10 super chat, is there's a blown coverage that bad on Thursday and somebody, yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. If this happens on Thursday, somebody's getting fired. No doubt in my mind. Joe Woods is probably getting fired by Friday. There's one thing Jimmy Haslam is not going to take. And Jimmy's not somebody who can handle being embarrassed. This was embarrassing. But he's also somebody who's not going to handle being embarrassed by Pittsburgh. That's when people get fired. You start losing games to Pittsburgh, people don't ever come back, right? Odell was gone after a Pittsburgh game. Baker ain't never played for the Browns after a Pittsburgh game. Hugh Jackson got fired after a bad Pittsburgh game. Like if you want to know who Freddie Kitchens got fired after a Pittsburgh, like, you get fired for losing to Pittsburgh here. Yabo says, I've been hearing this a lot about Delpit, but is it me or Ward didn't look like he carried the route? What are your thoughts on that play? I have no idea what happened between that. That was such a odd play. But it's happened with Ward 2 times, right? That was the same exact situation, but on the opposite side. When it happened with Denzel Ward. Well, no, when it happened with Greg Newsome and it happened with Ronnie Harrison. Now it's on the other side with Denzel Ward and Grant Delpit. There's a problem. A massive problem. Like a massive problem. And NFL Films shows Delpit coming down the N2 box, into the box is an interesting way to say it. Into the box in that cover 2 play. Ward short to the flat. Delpit had deep third. See, here's the thing. I don't think they all knew they were in cover 2. That's the problem. We're talking about play calls when we say man or zone, right? And we blame it on man or zone. Joe Woods won't. It will be the secondary coach. I don't know. I don't care. Somebody would be fired, though. Joe Woods or the secondary coach or both of them. But somebody would be promptly fired. Best believe, if they lose this game to Pittsburgh on this type of shit, somebody getting fired. No doubt in my mind. Absolutely no doubt in my mind. But yeah, here's the problem. We're talking about play calls. If I thought they were getting a play call in, executing a play call, and then that play call not working, hey, man, it's the man or zone thing, right? That's where the problem is. The problem is we're not even getting to the point where we can evaluate the play call because we don't know what they're in because They don't know what coverage they're in. They don't know if they're playing man or zone. They don't know if they're in cover 1 or 2 or 3 or 6. They don't know what the hell they're in. Sometimes half of them are in man. Some of them are in. It's impossible to get to the points where I'm like, hey, is it man or zone? When they don't know what they're running half the time. Or they don't know what each other's running. KCO says, I have been in person for some bad losses, but this is the saddest. I don't know. That Tennessee game, man, that was specially bad. We'll see, man. We'll see. We'll see. We'll see. Liam says, I guess I just feel like the D-line hides the backfield flaws so often it creates an illusion that they're doing something. No, sometimes the backfield, sometimes the secondary plays really well. This is what's frustrating. Sometimes they're elite. Like they'll play at an elite level. And then other times, they play like they can't run cover 2. It's uncanny how drastically they jump between those two identities. And the sad part is, all they got to do is communicate better. If they were on the same page, if they were able to be on the same page, they would be a great defense. But they can't do it. For whatever reason, they can't do it. And if it's been 3 years of miscommunications with Joe Woods, it's got to be Joe Woods at that point. Zoner, man, is irrelevant. This is from Joan. The problem to me is the defense tries to be too complex, lines up plus 5 yards off the ball. Team is too talented to let free releases all game. Maybe simplify it. I don't think the free releases would be a problem if they knew what they were running. Because the free releases are designed like that because you want somebody to undercut it. Right? But if there's nobody that knows they're supposed to undercut the free release, then there's no point in giving a free release. And that's what's happening. We're not running the same play with everybody for whatever reason. Ray Rag says, oh no, Q sound like a disappointed dad with the accent. Why do they play soft zone all the time? It's the concept of zone. Y'all, it's an execution of that zone. Yeah. And look, this is the NFL fan thing. Like everybody goes to, it's the zone, because people just don't like zone. But it's not the zone. It's really not. Like, again, the zone's designed, if you get the 5-yard release, somebody can undercut it so you can make a play there or take it away. And that way you can use one person to cover 2 receivers rather than, expending your resources in that way. So there's a reason that exists. It's like, but when they do those 5-yard releases, somebody's not where they're supposed to be. So it just looks like they're giving up 5 free yards. It's not how it's supposed to be. Sly says, this always happens when we're up. Why? Big, interesting question. Sounds like the preseason problems learning on the fly. What is there to learn for this defense? Like, that's the part that I'm confused on. What are they learning that they did not learn? Like, why is this so bad right now? That's the part that I'm stuck on, right? Y'all had this figured out last year. Who's new? There's nobody new. Anthony Walker was here last year. He was there he's there this year. Grant Delpit, he was here last year. He's here this year. This is the same group of people that figured this out last year. And it's worse than it's ever been. How? What is going on? This isn't a new defense. This isn't a new system. These aren't any new coaches. These are the same players in the same system that figured this shit out last year. And then now they walk around with shocked Pikachu faces, don't know how to talk. Like, I don't know how that happens, dog. G Money says, hopefully this week's defense, this wakes the defense up. It's not over. Of course it's not over. It's week 2. And we're going to beat the Steelers, right? So, this all this firing Joe Woods, it's hypothetical. We probably gonna beat the Steelers, probably gonna do it by like 20 points, and we'll be good. But if we don't, shit gonna happen. Shit gonna shake. It's gonna happen like that. Sly says, who's the green dot? Give it back to JJ3. It was a disaster when JJ3. Here's the thing though, Sly. That's what I'm saying, though. That's what I'm saying, Sly. This is exactly what I'm saying. They switched the green dot from JJ3 last year to Anthony Walker. Defense started to communicate better. Everything got right. Now this year, they're rotating Anthony Walker on and off the field. It's like they want to recreate the same problems. This is what football season's all about, right? John Kelso says, how was his offense compared to last week? Are these the same problems from last year when people wanted Joe Woods fired? Here's the thing, though. They fixed the problem last year, and they'll probably fix it this year. But the problem can't keep popping up. That's my point, right? They're probably going to fix this problem. They'll probably be all right by like next week or 2 weeks from now. They'll fix it again. But why does it keep popping up is my question. When there's no overturn. Like, why does the problem keep popping up? You know what I mean? It's like, how worried am I if Clowney's out for a while? Alex Wright's pretty good, so I'm fine. But the problem keeps, you know what? This is like if you have a kid and for whatever reason, homeboy, homegirl decides they're going to pee the bed every year in September. The second week of September, they just pee the bed. And in the back of your mind, you're like, well, we know she does this or he does this, and we know that they're not going to do it next week, so it should be fine. But you have to ask yourself the question, why does homie pee the bed so often? This is why I ask about the Browns defense and Joe Woods. It's probably going to be better. They're talented enough. They're going to look great. And then then the fire Joe Woods stuff probably going to die down, right? They're probably going to have a lights out performance against Pittsburgh or something like that, right? But the question has to be asked. Why do we embarrass ourselves on defense at least once a year with Joe Woods? Why does it happen? 45 unanswered last year to McCorkle Jones. Probably the only time in his life he'll ever do something like that. This year, I mean, do I have to say it for this year what the embarrassing one was? And then the year previous, 2020, that was a whole, like, what, this Andrew Sadejo arc. AS says, and they should have never put that damn elf on the field. It only confused fans outside of Cleveland, but the defense as well. Yeah, that elf got to go now. Look, man, I was all for that elf, but once you blow a 13-point lead in 2 minutes with no timeouts, dog, elf got to go. Elf got to go. I'm sorry. The elf has to go. I said on Twitter, Joe Woods was out there coaching like he had a torn labrum. Like, it was ridiculous. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Well, I'm not saying the Steelers aren't good. I'm saying I know the Browns are going to play better. Like, they're going to play better. They're going to win games, and then, we're going to forget about this one. But there are still problems that you have to address that just because they're not, like, terminal. You know what I mean? I think that's the problem when we talk about football or football teams. We react as if every problem that the football team has is terminal, and then once we realize it's not a terminal problem, we kind of just ignore it. But those nagging issues matter, and they need to be discussed, but they don't need to be discussed as if they're terminal, because that works against it. Because the second people realize, oh, no, this ain't gonna kill the season for us, we'll forget and not do anything about it. But the Joe Woods stuff, like, this is a reoccurring thing with him. Defense killed a great Jacoby Brissett game. Absolutely. Jacoby Brissett played his heart out, man. Almost brought us back into that. But ain't nobody going to be talking about that, you know what I mean? Because the defense messed that up for everybody. No, it was absolutely 100% the Elves' fault. I'm sorry. Whatever outfit any of y'all wore to watch this game got to go in the trash, dog. Like, we can't, that juju has to go in the garbage. We're going to have to burn it. Like, I got to switch my couch spot now. I firmly believe that happened because Sunday Ticket went down and I couldn't watch the game live with y'all. See, the Browns, we got screwed by, and I blame DirecTV, y'all. I blame DirecTV. because that would have never happened if I was able to view the game in my usual way. You know what I mean? If I was able to view the game on my big screen with y'all streaming, hey, that would have never happened. But due to DirecTV, I had to end the stream early, had to watch it on Game Pass International. Like, it was a whole mess. It was a whole mess, and that's why the Browns lost. I blame that on that. I firmly do believe that that is the reason why the Browns lost today. It's because DirecTV couldn't get their shit together when it came for NFL Sunday Ticket. And they put that elf on the field, right? That elf, gotta go. Put the stripe back on. Fuck it. You know what I mean? Can't do it. Can't do it. Can't do it. Can't do it. No more. No more. It's DirecTV and the elf's fault. And whatever fourth quarter, so what did they play in the stadium in the fourth quarter? Because if they play Wonderwall, it's definitely Wonderwall's fault. Don't ever play that shit again. Everything that we did, everything that we wore, I can't wear this shirt and watch a Browns game no more. That's trash. This do-rag, trash. Can't wear it no more in the Browns game. Everything that you wore today can't be worn for another Browns game. We can't put that elf out. We can't wear that jersey combination with no elf. It's a wrap. And DirecTV, nah, I blame you. The Browns, I want that with my refund for this week on NFL Sunday Ticket. I want that refund. I want my money back. And I want this win back. Liam Harris says, in truth, regardless of what happened, we remain tied for first place. Tiebreakers excluded. Always time to get right. Big dog, go Browns. Yeah, man, I mean, I think they'll beat Pittsburgh. I really do. This is something they do every year. They have an embarrassing performance on defense. And that doesn't exclude it being a problem, right? But I'm not saying the Browns are going to be an under 500 team because of what they did today. But what they did today was thoroughly embarrassing. And I'm tired of having these embarrassing moments. And I want somebody who can not provide these moments. Now, it might have to wait till the end of the year so you can get a qualified defensive coordinator in there. But I want somebody who could take advantage of the talent that they have on their defensive roster, because I feel like whatever Joe Woods is telling them to do when it comes to communication has been proven for 3 years to not work. It needs adjustment every year. The communication. This is like, I've been doing this for 5 years. This is my 5th season doing this with the Browns. 3 of them with Joe Woods. Communication, 2020. Communication, 2021. Communication again, 2022. It's been the same defense for 3 years and we can't communicate. That's got to be the defense's fault. That's got to be on Joe Woods. That's got to be. Ain't no new players. Some of these dudes been here for 3 years too. Most of them, the core has. Hey, man. Like if this was like the end of the year, Joe Woods would most definitely be fired, but I just don't know. It's the middle of the season. I mean, not even the middle of the season. It's the beginning of the season, dog. The beginning of the season. And you know what? The Ravens have the same problem. They just got rid of their defensive coordinator last year. So, you know, at the end of this year, yeah, I don't think Joe Woods coming back for next year. I mean, like, how could you? How can this shit keeps happening, man? And look, they're going to be a top whatever defense at the end of the year. But that's probably because they got Myles Garrett and Denzel Ward on them. They're going to make plays eventually. Like, that's just what it is. Just embarrassing, man. They got to be they got to be better than this, but it's just embarrassing. Embarrassing. Born yesterday says Joe Woods toxic. That's one way to put it. Hold on, y'all. I use the restroom. I'll be back. The Browns will never make a deep play. Big Kev, madman. The Browns will never make a deep playoff run with Stefanski and Woods because they are soft. It's that simple. Now, that's where I feel like you're going a bit far. I don't think Myles Garrett is soft. I don't think Denzel Ward is soft. I don't think they're soft on the defense. If your criticism is about the coverage, make it about the coverage. But don't be calling people soft when you ain't trying to be hit out there. You know what I mean? Let's keep it civil. Let's not be jackasses just because you mad. I ain't here for that shit. All right. We not doing that. I got to punish myself. I think I'm going to order some KFC or something. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, that feels right. Feels right after a debilitating loss. Now I got to eat KFC. I feel like that's right. Feel like that's right. You know what I mean? If they would have won, I would have got some spicy chicken, something like that. But they lost. I got to get KFC. Get some old bullshit. Ooh, some Wingstop. That's, you know what, man? I'm doing the Wingstop. We going to do Wingstop. We going to do Wingstop. Yeah, do-rag got to go. Do-rag got to go, man. Nelson Gonzalez says, the do-rag got to go. Thank you for making me laugh after a bad loss. I got to throw my cat out, too. He was looking at the TV too much. No. See, that's one thing that ain't changing. My cat's watching the game with me. I don't care. They've been with wins and losses. They not going nowhere. But that elf got to go. This shirt got to go. This do-rag, never again. Never again. I can't wear none of this. Can't wear none of this. Never again. Thank God I wasn't streaming when it happened. Could you imagine the amount of people that would have tuned in to watch me be miserable? DirecTV saved me. Also, Browns fans, we don't got to be like break your TV mad at it. You know what I mean? Like, oh, somebody ate KFC during the game. You cost us the game eating KFC during the game, man. What's wrong with you? Who's that? AS? That's your fault. Your fault. Yeah, again, my criticism of him, AB says, nah, dude's right. Stefanski loses all hunger as soon as they get 10 points ahead. No push to score, just run the clock and start. Dog, that wasn't the problem today. That wasn't the problem today. What do you mean? What do you mean? Part of the problem, people are saying, is because they did score. The offense, like, Kevin Stefanski, this ain't the day to be on the fire Kevin Stefanski train. I'm sorry. That man had Jacoby Brissett out there playing the game of his life. Like, I'm sorry. He was calling great plays. Nah, I'm not hearing any Kevin Stefanski slander about this. Like, maybe if you want to talk about his role as head coach and the responsibility he ultimately has over the defensive side of the ball, that's something we could discuss, but we just don't know how responsible he is for some of this stuff. Sly says, I have more faith in Brissett than the defense. I mean, he's played better than the damn defense. Defense been awful. No reason to have, right? Ooh, I thought that was picked off. But again, man, I want to make sure, because when a game like this happens, we have the tendency to get so mad that we get mad at everything. What we should be mad about is them 13 points they gave up in less than 2 minutes. Which, by the way, that's a meme. Maybe AFC record just sucks this week. Yeah, I just think I don't know. Dallas got the lead right now, and everything I've seen today tells me that means Dallas is probably going to lose this game because they got the lead. Because, you know, having the lead's not a good thing anymore. AB says, not saying fire him, but Stefanski gets scared with the lead. What would indicate that Stefanski was scared? This is what I'm saying. Like, that criticism of Stefanski today doesn't make sense. Big Daddy Dub says, I don't know if my heart can take this every week. I don't know, man. Big Daddy Dub, I feel like if you've been a Browns fan for a long period of time, this is just kind of the regular. Like, you know, maybe I'm just jaded, or not jaded, but maybe I'm just over-experienced in these kind of things, because like, I was mad for like 10 minutes after the game, but then, like, you know, I started making Joe Woods labrum jokes, and it was just kind of like, all right, man, let's go Thursday. Dave May says, can't do it. I just bought this Thomas jersey. It's got to go. You got to frame it, put it up. You can't wear that shit on game day no more. It's got to go. It's got to go. It's got to go. I'm sorry. Whatever jersey you wore to this game, got to go. Got to go. Got to go. I don't care if it was a custom. I don't care. It's got to go. Can't wear it again, man. Can't wear it again. Can't wear that shit no more. All right. AV says not saying fire him, but he gets scared with the lead. Thing is, like, did he even have an opportunity to do all that scary Kevin Stefanski stuff with the lead this week? Like, they went up 14 and almost immediately gave up those points. Like, he didn't even have the opportunity to piss us off by running the ball a bunch. Like, I'm not saying it's not a thing, but, like, this week it wasn't because he didn't get the opportunity to do it. You know what I mean? Like, he wasn't up with 10 points at any point in this game until they were, and then they immediately gave up, like, a touchdown. You know what I mean? So there's that, right? And you know what's the worst thing about how the Browns lost today? The worst thing about it is the Ravens blew a 28-point fourth quarter lead, and we can't even say shit about it. We can't meme on the Ravens. We can't roast the Ravens right now. The Steelers lost to McCorkle Jones. We can't say nothing because we lost to the Jets. That's the worst thing about it, man. That's the worst thing about it. We out here got all these opportunities for all these great jokes we could be making at other people's expense, but we can't make none of these jokes because we gave up 13 points in less than 2 minutes to Joe Flacco of all people with no timeouts. Now we can't make Raven jokes. We can't call them the Baltimore Falcons. We can't talk about how young McCorkle Jones beat the Pittsburgh Steelers. We can't do that because they had to give up 14 points in less than 2 minutes with no timeouts to a 37-year-old Joe Flacco. And man, Miles is wearing a cardigan right now, born yesterday. Ain't nothing wrong with a cardigan. I mean, like, yeah, I ain't wearing no cardigan anytime soon. But, like, you know, if that's how the brother dress, let that man live. That's crazy, man. That's the worst part. Had all these jokes ready for the Ravens. Like, man, if the Bengals lose to the Cowboys, I can't even meme about it. We lost to the Jets. Cold world, man. Cold world. Cold world. Baker Mayfield looked terrible. You can't make no jokes right now. You know what I mean? Like, it's rough. It's rough. It's rough. They are robbing me of my opportunities to shine comedically on the Bird app. That's what they doing. They trying to keep me locked in. That's so messed up. But yeah, man. Hey, man, they play on Thursday. So they win. Well, nobody care. Ray Rag says, man, we can't even joke if the Bengals lose the Cooper Rush. Like I was saying, always saying, the Browns never let us have fun. They don't ever, man. We had all these Cooper Rush jokes ready. We had all them. Ravens gave up 28-point lead. And they lost by like 6 points. Like a 28-point lead in the fourth quarter. We can't say nothing. We can't say nothing. All because they didn't want to hold a 13-point lead for 2 minutes. How selfish of the Browns secondary. The Browns secondary is so damn selfish, bro. Like, that's so selfish. How dare you take those jokes from me? This selfish-ass secondary. They need to learn some manners. That shit was rude what they did to me. And you. I'm pretty sure y'all had some fire jokes in there, too. You know, but they ruined that shit. Somebody bought a new Joe Thomas jersey today in chat. They can't wear that shit no more because the secondary wanted to be selfish. Joel says with a $10 super chat. Appreciate that. Love how superstitious we are. Also enjoying your videos. Hold on. This is where we needed Perion to be available. Yep. Appreciate that super chat. Commonly uncommon. Let me get back to the one from. Okay. and really like Tyvis Powell to explain what happened. Apparently, Joe Woods is calling the right plays, but a lack of communication. That's what I think's happening. But like, why though? Right? Like, that's the question. If Joe Woods is calling the right plays, why can't we run the play? Like, that's the most basic element of football is just running the play. We can't run the play. That's the problem. We can't run the fucking play. Why can't we just run the play? It's selfish, man. The secondary is selfish for that. We put that new elf out. That elf can't come back no more. Selfish. Because the secondary wanted to be selfish. This is selfish. This is selfishness. Hey, look, man. Sometimes you got to laugh through it. It's all good, though. We'll play on Thursday. If the Browns win, we'll talk shit. You know, we'll have our opportunity to talk shit. And then we'll have that glorious opportunity where we can have a win, hopefully. Now, again, it'd be miserable if we lose to Pittsburgh. I ain't trying to deal with Tony all like that. But, you know, if we beat Pittsburgh, we'll be back on our bullshit. But, unfortunately, can't make no bullshit jokes. Sucks. Some of y'all, I know it ain't going to stop. Y'all gonna roll that embarrassment, still talk about, oh, well, the Ravens was worse. I'm like, that's not for me. The jokes just don't hit right. You know what I mean? The jokes just don't hit right. Nobody trying to hear jokes right now. Again, Brown secondary is selfish for that. This week was full of great jokes that could be made. Ray Rag says you need to bring this up tomorrow just to get in jokes. You need to bring this up tomorrow just to get in the jokes while saying we can't make any jokes. See, look, man. I'm gonna find a way to get them jokes in, but it's gonna be tough. It's gonna be tough. You know what I mean? It's just selfishness by the secondary, and maybe that's actually the problem is that people are being selfish within that system. But yeah, man, shit needs to get fixed. I don't know what else to say. It's definitely not athleticism, Mighty. I don't think it's athleticism. Like, JOK, Grant Delpit, they're very athletic. It ain't athleticism. And common denominator, though, communication. And think about it. Athleticism wasn't the problem last year. It wasn't really the problem in 2020. Still had issues, right? And by the way, think about this. Where did we have issues in 2020? Safety. Where did we have issues at the beginning of 2021? Safety. Where do we have issues right now? Safety. And those guys have been different every year. At some point, you got to ask, hey, man, are they doing some dumb shit with the safeties? And I think they're doing some dumb shit with the safeties. That's just my opinion. That's just my opinion. You know what I mean? Oof. He said, I'd rather it be the Browns. Yeah, because if they just get beat in coverage, you could go, oh, we just got beat. It happens. It's the NFL. We're not even getting beat in coverage. We're not even covering. I love people who are like trying to be like serious when I'm joking about the elf gotta go. Because they're like, hey, man, that elf didn't do anything to support what the defense did today. I'm like, word. The elf wasn't on the field. The elf wasn't strapped up with the helmet on. The elf didn't blow cover. I know the elf didn't actually have anything to do with it, but every time I see that elf, I'm going to think about 13 points, a 13-point lead that was given up in less than 2 minutes with no timeouts to an old-ass Joe Flacco. I'm sorry. That's what I see when I see the elf. And if that's what I associate that elf with, it got to go, bruh. It got to go. Can't stay. Can't be here. Got to go. Got to go. Got to go. Gotta go. So that's what I mean. That's what the joke is. You know, like, yeah, people were defending the elf like the elf was like on the field. Like, hey, man, like the elf was Jacoby Brissett. Oh, man. Hey, the elf can stay if they beat Pittsburgh next week by like 20 points, but like that elf boy hanging on for his life because it'll be gone. Let the Browns in. You think Jimmy that damn elf? I'm tired of looking at it. Get the elf off the field. Get that damn, put the strap back on. I promise you, man, don't nobody want to look at that shit that they associated with loot. Why do you think we got rid of them jerseys so quick? Because all we associated them ugly jerseys with was like FUBU and losing. That's all we associated with. Why would we want to keep that? We ain't never going to do throwbacks to them jerseys. I hope y'all understand. Them jerseys is never coming back. I ain't watching the post-game interviews. I don't want to hear a single word about what these dudes were saying. Nah, man. I am tired of everybody that plays for the Browns right now. I'm not trying to hear them talk right now. I'm not trying to hear them explain this. It's great if you can explain it. Oh, yeah, Ford did look good returning to football, commonly uncommon. I do think that. You think Jimmy Haslam going to lose 2 weeks in a row in devastating fashion, looking at that elf and think, oh, yeah, we'll keep the elf out there. Nah, he don't get that shit off the field. Ray Rag says, Art Modell got one over on us by putting that elf on the field. Said, not today with that BS logo I hate so much. You know, it's funny. And then his team choked a 21-point lead in the fourth quarter. Art Modell was being his best Art Modell, just making everybody a bit worse as a football team. You know what I mean? With his presence. His ghost was working overtime. Really was. Shout out to Art Modell's ghost. Commonly Uncommon says we can't even talk about how good. Oh, yeah. We talked about that. Yeah, Ford looks good. Dog, somebody asked me if this has to do with Greedy Williams' absence. No. If they look this bad because Greedy Williams, who gets like 200 snaps a year, is not on the field, they're just bad. Like, that Greedy's not going to fix that. We not watching no post-game interview, man. I'm telling you, boy, if the Browns give up another 13 points in 2 minutes to the Pittsburgh Steelers, I ain't trying to see that elf ever again. Yeah, let me tell you something. When it's not often that the fans start booing and I go, yeah, it's probably right. But when the fans booed them today, I was like, yeah, that's probably right. Right? Like, cause what happened today was really some like pro wrestling shit, right? Like this is like if Hangman Page, is he a big enough baby? If Bryan Danielson, the former Daniel Bryan, right? He's about to win the championship. He's doing the shit, right? You know, the shit you about to do when you about to win. He's doing a yes, and he's doing a little corner kick and all that stuff. You know, the 5 moves. John Cena, we'll use John Cena. John Cena, right? He's doing the 5 moves of doom. That's what the Browns offense was doing. They was doing the 5 moves of doom. Just splat. You can't see me. Yeah. And then boom, doing the little shuffle. Doing the 5 moves of doom. We about to put this FU on, boom, go 1, 2, 3, and get home. But you know what happened? Our best friend came down, right? You know, Rey Mysterio came down and was like, hey, man, I want to see you win. And the next thing we know, he tripping us up on the apron. He hit us with he distracting the ref, and then somebody come out and hit me with a steel chair. And then I get covered for 3. I'm booing. I'm booing if that happens in WWE, AEW. I'm booing if that happens at a football game. I love how Jacoby got no credit for like the game-winning drive last week, but now he gets credit for like throwing the interception. Just beautiful fan work right there. Thank you for the super chat, Dave, man. Says Jacoby was great for 59 minutes, but this game continued the thread of last interception. Yeah. I mean, last week we got one. This week we didn't. And honestly, if Jacoby would have pulled that one out of his hat, like, that'd be crazy. Afazal Muhammad says the defense got humbled, been talked up all offseason. Yeah, man. Hey, maybe this is what they needed. Maybe we look back at this embarrassing not even ass, this embarrassing fumble that the Browns defense did as the moment that they realized that they needed to humble themselves and come together as a team and do all the Remember the Titans shit. But I don't know if that's happening, right? Maybe they going to play Ain't No Mountain High enough and the defense going to start playing cover 2 when they supposed to be playing cover 2, right? Maybe that's all they needed. But I don't know, man. I don't know. This is the dumbest, man. This is the dumbest way to lose a football game of all time. The dumbest way. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Man, that's football, right? But that's going to be it for me, man. I'm about to order this Wingstop, upload a video, and chill. Y'all try to have fun with the rest of y'all day. I appreciate y'all for kicking it with me. Over 1,000 people in chat. That's dope. We've had that 2 weeks in a row. Hopefully we can make it 3 weeks in a row this Thursday. Again, I appreciate y'all, the love, support, win or loss or tie. And just know, keep it here. The content's still coming. Okay, the content's still coming. So we got a short week to get prepared for. We're gonna have an interesting week of content here because of that. But that's gonna be it for me.